further changing my voice again, these are the types of people who are invited to talk on TED Talks. I don't really care, but it's important to note that I wasn't invited to talk on TED Talks. With a 9-year, up to $5 million, I raised it to $10 million challenge if I'm compensated, 60,000 if I'm not. All people have to do is allow them for me to recover. Okay, but they know they can't win, especially with their philosophies and their paths limiting their brain function. Even though my brain has been zapped and I've been fumed so much and covertly drugged for so long, if I was allowed to recover for, say, 6 months or so, 3 months, or some significant amount of time, nobody could beat me at outdoor sparring, even with a reduced ability to kick. I mean, we're talking a serious gap here. Now, the guy, again, the people that have been chosen are people that were handpicked by the globalists, the leftists, what have you, right? People see them as different things. One thing for sure is that there's some kind of liberal progressive eugenicist, and conservatives work in concert with them to make it so they seem like the ideal people in society. When you think about America, for example, you think about the people in the construct that are ideal. When you apply white supremacy to it, you don't think of a poor white guy in a trailer park. You don't think of Rick Perry or Ron DeSantis. You think of some tech savvy person in a place like Beverly Hills, but more tech, like Palo Alto, or or more quaint town, and they're some kind of brilliant technological mind, right? Now, this is important to note that this guy, the other guy I came across when I was doing my little search here, he is a white Jew looking person of sorts. Okay, some people argue whether or not he's a Jew. That's fine. That's what I perceive him to be, and if he's not, that's fine too. But he has that kind of way about him, which is one of the main models they use for the new man. There's a kind of taller, kind of English model. There's a kind of shorter Jewish model, and these are sort of the model they present as ideal. And there's some kind of nerds that work out, and so on and so forth. That's fine. Okay, I'm not here to insult people in this video. I'm here to highlight the differences. So he talks about the ideas of Shaolin that are passed on from generation to generation. Obviously, I would argue they ultimately come from Africa, but that's fine. That's not what this video is about. Okay, and he says that the journey is more important than the destination. Again, see how that contradicts my idea, which is my belief, my truths, which are more like Christianity, where the destination, right? We're trying to get to heaven, meet our Maker, and be right with God. You see what I'm saying? And that's not compatible with their kind of merger with Shaolin and New Age and kind of liberal progressive eugenicists and governing class, family, social control nonsense. So we see that part of the argument. Another argument he makes is that they focus on the here and now. So basically, they're social engineering. They're doing gentrification, right? They're social engineering the city. They're determining what types of people and activities take place in the city. We even see it here in Morgan Hill, where I live. They've been gentrifying it for years. We see the inflation causing people to move out, and people who are in corporate networks are moving in, is the general rule of thumb. Okay, so they're saying focus on the here and now with these white supremacists, Jewish supremacists, LGBT supremacists. We see Generation Z. In one study said that 25% of them identify as LGBT. That's like 5 times plus greater amount of people than my generation, for example, in no time flat. Okay, so we see them saying focus on the LGBT, white supremacy, Jewish supremacy, token minority here and now. Okay, so these are the guys who have been allowed. It's the meat grinder effect. A bunch of people who don't agree, you throw them in the meat grinder until you find one that does, right? Just like with African politicians, you throw them in the meat grinder until you find one that agrees. Okay. And to some degree, it happened with the Jewish people and white people at some points in history, one way or another. Okay, part of what World War II is about. It's a long story, but anyway. So he's talking about the here and now, right? Mindfulness, right? And the journey is greater to him, to people who think like him, than the destination. Utter hogwash. Utter hogwash. Okay? The destination is to have looked back in a life that was masterfully moved on the path of moral precision. Okay? So to look back at that as the final destination, to have completed that. Completion, right? You got to finish what you've started. It's got to make sense. It's got to be morally precise. It's got to be completion. So the destination is greater than the journey. The destination is the forever. The journey is the here in this world, because these people worship Gaia, which is gay-ia, and that's why he has that gayish way about him. That's why they're editing my voice and my pictures and my images and my videos, with no exception, to make it so I seem gayish. When I'm the son of a Nigerian guy who came here in the 60s, okay, very masculine, very straight guy, 6'4", about 200 something pounds, muscle, intense muscle from being a brain surgeon and having to, with those big African arms to kind of surgically cut into people's heads the old-fashioned way, not with the technology and the assistance that they have these days. Okay, so never again will brain surgery be the same. It'll be something that is more like fixing a car with the kind of cheating that we see going on here, the kind of privileged approaches, the modern technological based approaches, the technologies, the computers, what have you. Probably artificial intelligence, probably a system, things like this, chips in the brain, remote, neuro interface with computers and supercomputers, what have you. So what we see here is that he's arguing white, Jewish, and LGBT social controller supremacy subtly. And he's trying to make it seem like he's humble and so on and so forth. Now, if he disagrees with this, please feel free to comment. We can discuss this like adults. But there's not a speck of evidence to the contrary. All the evidence suggests to the point where it's logical to say that that's what's going on. So is he a true master at life? No. Do I approve what he's doing? No. Is what he's doing evil? Yes. Is he at extreme odds with God and me, and God and I? Yes. There's no other way to look at it. And he's part of the greater network of people, okay, whether he sees it that way or not, that are sabotaging me to mess up my speech patterns so they can say, well, he doesn't know how to speak proper English. To mess up, make it so I can't download the Word on my computer. He doesn't, he makes typos. He doesn't even know how to spell this word. Doesn't even know how to do a basic spell check. And they're fuming me, and they're making it so that I'm pressed for time, so I rush through my videos because the message is more important than the grammar. Okay, and they made so that I don't have a suitable helper, and they've got attractive females to shun me. And you can imagine by the network of the military, the police, the corporate state, okay, the gentlemen's clubs, the social clubs, the secret societies, okay, the various political groupings and parties, that it's a walk in the park in today's integrated system to create the situation where the most righteous person is shunned. And of course, do these people ever talk about gang stalking? No, because that's part of the network that elevates them to their position of social control and misleading people. Okay, it's a mistake, right? They're taking women. Now, one thing that Buddhism does it fairly accurately is they try to not take any women, those who are actually Buddhists, as the noble path, abstinence, so they're not making a mistake. But in other ways, spiritually, they're leading them away from me by getting them to dedicate themselves to that path and not to the Royal African Falcon, top martial artist that ever lived. Thank you.